Hello everyone. We welcome you all to the online workshop and talk series brought to you by Women in Data Science Mysuru. Today's topic is around application and infrastructure monitoring in AWS. A little about me. This is Bhuvaneshwari Subramani here. I work for Infra and I'm also an AWS community hero from India. Over and about the work I do, I'm really passionate about training and technical writing. And here you go with my blog. Today's agenda is going to be around application and infrastructure monitoring, a brief overview around it. We will also look into the Amazon CloudWatch in detail and some practical usage of CloudWatch with pricing example. Let's get started. Application and infrastructure monitoring is our first section. So AWS is a big container housing huge list of varied services, right? EC2 and S3 bucket were the initial set of services. And CloudWatch is a metric monitoring system that allows you to ingest data. If we consider EC2 as a service, then we will see data that get ingested into CloudWatch. It's all about the system information that can be monitored from outside the instance. If you take EC2 instance, these are the metrics that gets monitored. Our all-time favorite is the CPU utilization, based on which we generally scale up the EC2 instance or scale down, right? And you can install CloudWatch agent within the EC2 instance to collect both system metrics and log files. This applies to on-premise servers as well, using which you can send application log files or system log files to the CloudWatch. Let's get started looking into the CloudWatch. In nutshell, Amazon CloudWatch is a monitoring service to monitor AWS cloud resources, that is infrastructure perspective, and the applications you run on AWS or on-premise. So here are some use cases of how do you use CloudWatch to collect and track metrics, to collect and monitor log files, set alarms, and of course to automatically react to changes in your AWS resources. How do you access CloudWatch? It's by usual means: AWS Management Console, AWS command line tools, AWS SDKs, and CloudWatch APIs. How does the CloudWatch works? Amazon CloudWatch is basically a metrics repository. An AWS service such as an Amazon EC2 can put the metrics into the repository, and you can retrieve the statics based on your need. That apart, you can install CloudWatch agent either on EC2 instance or on-premise servers, from which you can send the system log files or the application log files to the CloudWatch, which can be later used for your thorough or in-depth analysis. You can use metrics to calculate statistics and then present the data graphically in the CloudWatch console. You can also configure alarms to start, stop, and terminate EC2 instances after a specific time if they are non-production workloads. In addition to that, you can also create an alarm that can initiate EC2 instance scaling if the demand increases or scale down if there is no demand for your application at that point in time. Here are the key concepts of CloudWatch. So you need to be familiar with the metrics, dashboards, alarms, logs, and events, which are the fundamental concepts of CloudWatch. We'll get started with metrics. Metrics are data about the performance of your systems. So for example, The CPU usage of a particular EC2 instance is one of the metric provided by EC2. So this metrics cannot be deleted. It retires automatically after 15 months if no new data is published to them. So wondering what if new data keep coming in, the old data gets deleted on a rolling basis. So metrics exist only in the region where you have created them, but you can use CloudWatch cross-region functionality to aggregate statistics from different regions. And you can view from CloudWatch console as well as the respective service consoles. You can go to this particular link, supported metrics link, to see what are all the AWS services CloudWatch metrics supports. So if you consider logging into your AWS account, if at all you have a free tier account, just go and see what are the AWS resources that you have created. For all those resources, you will find the metrics here. At this point in time, some EBS volumes are there for the EC2 instance which I've created. So S3 buckets, I have some Lambda functions and events. So that's why I'm seeing the metrics for these AWS services only. Okay. So if you take EBS volume and EC2 instance, here are the 7 metrics which is available by default, or rather 9 metrics for EBS volumes and 17 metrics, default metrics available for EC2 instance. CPU utilization, network packets out, network packets in, all that. Remember, anything that is used to monitor your system, it will be available by default. If informations like memory, which is within the system, AWS do not get into the system and see what's happening. So for us, we'll have to run the custom scripts to send those custom metrics to CloudWatch, which can be later used to scale up or scale down your EC2 instance as needed as well. So that's about metrics. So here is some information about data retention for metrics. So you have 4 variants: high resolution custom metrics, detailed metrics, standard metrics, and extended retention. These are basically on the data points for which the information is collected in relations to the number of hours this data is going to be lost. If you're going to have data for 1 hour data point, you can have the information for 15 months. Or if you're looking for more accurate information where you want to aggregate less than 60 seconds of data, it's available only for 3 hours. Okay? So that's the data retention for each of the metrics. So next we will move on to CloudWatch dashboards. CloudWatch dashboards are highly customizable home pages to monitor resources spread across different regions. So you can create dashboards either through console, AWS command line, or using Put Dashboard APIs. You can also create cross-region, cross-account dashboards, which can be used to display graphs and widgets from multiple AWS accounts and multiple regions. There is a new release which got out in September 2020. So where you can share the dashboard as an individual publicly shared dashboard without credentials as well. So that's a good thing where you can create one dashboard and publicly share it for people to use it. So there are key attributes to it. Automated dashboards can be pre-built, or it is available as pre-built with AWS service. You can share dashboards, and the dashboards are auto-refresh by default. Here is the dashboard which you can see for monitoring DynamoDB, depicting your account's read capacity units and write capacity units. Next, we will move on to CloudWatch alarms. You can create an alarm to monitor any Amazon CloudWatch metric in your account. The default states that you get are okay, you're going to get an alarm for it, or it's in an alarming state, and insufficient data. Only in the alarming state, the data matches or the condition matches and you'll get an alarm. So some of the examples of alarms are like watch CPU utilization of web servers and send an alarm to auto scaling group if the CPU percentage exceeds the threshold, say 80%. Another example is watch out the SQS, your simple queuing service length of the queue. If it is growing, you may want to add additional consumers which will consume the queue, the messages from the queue. Okay. And another important thing is you can set up billing alert. Say when you create an AWS account, first thing you would do is configuring an SMS notification to alert if the bill amount exceeds $10. So here is the example of the billing alarm that you can set. We'll move on to CloudWatch logs. CloudWatch logs basically lets you to monitor and troubleshoot your systems and applications using your existing system, application, and custom log files. So for example, you can create one group as CI/CD group, which will house the logs from your build logs as well as deployment logs. So to house within one group, you would create something called log groups for focused monitoring, the entire CI/CD logs. Now within that log group, you wanted to differentiate between your build and deployment logs. That's where the log stream comes into picture. Stream is nothing but a sequence of log events from the same source. So log categories, we have three types of categories: vendor logs, logs published by AWS services, and custom logs. So vendor logs, you have the custom metrics that cannot be deleted, but it expires based on the retention policy. And the logs published by AWS services could be from your EC2 instance, AWS Lambda functions, AWS CloudTrail, or any of the AWS services. And custom logs, they are the logs from your own application and on-premise resources. Here is a screen print of a CI/CD pipelines logs that are stored. So I have consolidated my build and deployment logs under log group named CI/CD log group, and the stream is code build log stream. So the build log that you see is for the build log. Okay. So next one is events. CloudWatch events, how it's going to be helpful. So Amazon CloudWatch events is a stream of system events describing changes in your AWS resources. You can define rules with events to take automated actions. So basically, CloudWatch events helps to respond to the state changes. You can even schedule events at a fixed schedule using cron syntax. So you take an example. You have a bunch of teams working in both IST and PST time zones. Their respective dev workloads, that is non-production workloads, it can be turned off by end of their day. So you can write a Lambda function. What you see here is a shutdown EC2 instance Lambda function that can be scheduled to be invoked at a fixed rate. What is once in 12 hours? So based on the tag, if you have set auto of equal to true, so based on the tag, the respective time zones EC2 instance or non-production workloads can be turned off. This is one of the simplest example, but very effective in terms of usage of CloudWatch events. Okay. So in a nutshell, how do you monitor AWS resources and applications hosted on EC2 instance or on-premise servers is all about Amazon CloudWatch. So if you come back to practical usage of CloudWatch, in terms of application log, you can send the application log either from CloudWatch agent EC2 instance or from the on-premise server. Either of that, you have to install the CloudWatch agent and configure which are the application log files. It could be your Tomcat log file, Apache log files, or the log file specific to your application. You can configure to send to S3 bucket. So once you send these logs to S3 bucket, later that can be visualized through Splunk or Sumo Logic. And the logs beyond a certain time period can be sent to Glacier for archival purpose. And then you can define retire policy also, that the information stored in Glacier can be deleted after 6 months or 1 year down the line. So this could be one of the usage. And the other usages, you can have default metric from EC2 instance, which can be sent to CloudWatch. And also you can write custom metrics like memory to be sent to the CloudWatch, which can be later analyzed through Elasticsearch. So that's about the simplest usage of CloudWatch. It's not limited by this. The usage is really vast. Anything and everything that you do with an AWS cloud, CloudWatch comes into a picture. So knowing this service forms a base for what we do. As far as pricing is concerned, basic monitoring at 5-minute interval is free. Whether it's your free tier account or after that free tier 1 year period is over, or any account, if it's a 5-minute interval, it's free. Only if you enable detailed monitoring at 1 minute interval, it's chargeable. And here is the examples of how you'll be charged for the metrics. And the next one is, if you take tiered pricing for 7 metrics, assuming $0.30 per metric, it's going to be 2.1 USD for the entire month when I'm going to use 7 metrics for a specific EC2 instance. That's how you would calculate the pricing. You can also look at the CloudWatch pricing for more details. Here are some of the reference links. A CloudWatch mind map from one of my blogs to see how you can map yourself to the understanding of CloudWatch. And here is the official user guide for CloudWatch and a link to the pricing calculator. Thank you so much for being part of the session today. Here is my Twitter and LinkedIn handles. Wish you all the best in the journey. Happy learning. Thank you.